I sat on a meditation mat in the back mountains of the Jiang family estate, my white robes stained with blood. My face was pale, and my head throbbed. I looked around at the unfamiliar scenery of Wudong City, my mind a complete blank. Before I could even process where I was, a massive flood of memories surged into my brain. I had transmigrated. One moment I was closing my eyes in my old life, and the next, I was the patriarch of the Jiang family, one of the 4 major clans in Wudong City. My name was now Jiang Daoxian. According to my memories, the previous owner of this body had been stuck at the peak of the Xiantian realm for a long time. In a desperate bid to break through, he had come to this forbidden area in the back mountains to meditate. But on the very first day, someone had tampered with his breakthrough pill. The attempt failed miserably, and the original Jiang Daoxian died. That wasn't even the worst part. Because of the failed breakthrough, I was now a complete cripple. My cultivation was gone. I was powerless. In this world, strength was everything. The powerful could move mountains, fill seas, and pluck the stars from the sky. To them, the weak were nothing but grass, easily crushed by the mere aftershocks of their battles. Without my cultivation, I was a dead man walking. To make matters worse, 3 other families were watching the Jiang family like starving wolves, waiting for a moment of weakness to strike. Ding! A cold, mechanical voice rang out in my head. The strongest family system had activated. Host status abnormal. Opening newbie gift pack. Congratulations. You have obtained Chaos Dao Eyes, Congenital Saint Body Dao Fetus, and Clan Total Accumulation. The Chaos Dao Eyes were born before heaven and earth even existed. As I grew stronger, more of their power would unlock. Right now, I had the Eye of Insight, allowing me to see the details of anyone within 2 major realms of my own. The Congenital Saint Body Dao Fetus was an even greater prize. It was a supreme physique formed by merging the ancient desolate saint body and the congenital Dao Fetus. It was invincible, immune to all evil, and possessed unmatched physical strength. Finally, there was Clan Total Accumulation. This was a game changer. I would permanently receive the combined cultivation of every single member of my clan. The stronger they were, the stronger I became. If they died, my cultivation wouldn't drop. It was a perfect, stackable power that didn't interfere with my own training. I blinked, stunned. This was the definition of a miracle. Without a second thought, I chose to merge with the congenital saint body Dao Fetus. Immediately, a faint golden glow surfaced on my skin. My body began to resonate with the great Dao itself. Thousands of strands of Dao rhythm descended from the void, wrapping around me. 5 colored clouds appeared in the sky, and golden lotuses bloomed from the ground. A massive wave of energy washed through me, turning my decaying, broken body into something vibrant and full of life. My skin shimmered like a divine jade, and a fragrance like heavenly medicine filled the air. When I opened my eyes, I felt a surge of vitality I had never known. My body and soul were perfectly fused. I looked the same on the outside, but internally, I had undergone a total transformation. This body was now truly mine. I shook my head, clearing the lingering visions, and activated the Clan Total Accumulation. The spiritual energy in the surrounding area went wild. It rushed into my body, scouring my bones and flesh. My cultivation level began to skyrocket. The Xiantian energy in my Dantian compressed and transformed into Yuan power. Boom! A violent explosion of energy occurred within me. A void space opened in my Dantian, the Zifu. Purple mist swirled within it, nourishing my soul and birthing my divine sense. Zifu realm, first layer. Second layer. Third layer. I snapped my eyes open, my gaze sharp as lightning. I exhaled a breath of turbid air that shot out like an arrow, piercing a small hole in the ground. So this was the Zifu realm. In my old world, I would be a Superman. Here, the path went from body refining to saint, and all the way to great emperor. Reaching the Zifu realm meant I could fly and store items in my internal space. To commoners, I was now no different from a living god. Ding! Investment return function activated. The system chimed. Invest in clan members to trigger rewards. The higher the investment grade, the better the return. I let out a dry laugh. So the system wanted me to be a philanthropist? Well, if I got to shear the sheep after feeding them, I didn't mind the work. A virtual panel appeared before me. Name, Jiang Daoxian. Cultivation, Zifu Realm, 3rd layer. Talent, congenital Saint Body Dao fetus. Family fortune, 444. Warning, the Jiang family is in trouble. Please resolve it immediately. In trouble. My eyes turned cold. Meanwhile, in the Jiang family main hall, the atmosphere was suffocating. Every member of the clan was gathered, their breathing heavy with tension. Facing them was a group of uninvited guests dressed in gray, clutching cold, sharp blades. They were from the rival Tang family. Leading them was Tang Xingyang, the Tang Patriarch, a man at the peak of the Xiantian realm. Tang Xingyang looked around the hall with a look of pure disdain. Is this the Jiang family's grand hall? It's tiny. My family's latrines are bigger than this. I expected something impressive from the place that birthed Jiang Daoxian, but I'm disappointed. I shouldn't have even come. Tang Xingyang continued his mockery, his voice dripping with fake pity. For one of the 4 great families, you people are pathetically poor. It's embarrassing to the rest of us. How about this? On behalf of the Tang family, I'll donate 10 taels of silver so you can fix this place up. The great elder's forehead throbbed. 10 taels? That was a deliberate insult. If it weren't for your family constantly squeezing us, we wouldn't be in this state, he hissed. He took a deep breath, trying to suppress his rage. This is a private matter for the Jiang family. It doesn't concern you, Patriarch Tang. Private matter? Tang Xingyang raised an eyebrow. That's not quite right. Your family used to be our subordinates, seeking our protection. We have history. Are you acting cold because you've forgotten your roots? Or do you actually think that just because you're ranked among the 4 families now, you've escaped our control? His eyes turned cold, his tone sharp with sarcasm. The great elder realized then that this wasn't just a social call. Tang Xingyang was here to burn the house down. Patriarch Tang, the great elder said, his face darkening. The Jiang family stopped being your subordinates centuries ago. Why bring up the past now? Just to humiliate us? Tang Xingyang crossed his arms. You can call it humiliation if you want. The Jiang clan members glared at him, their blood boiling. Tang Xingyang didn't care. Look at you all. A pack of house dogs baring your teeth at your former master. I actually enjoy this, seeing the way you hate me but can't do a single thing about it. He shrugged. Years ago, when I was active, he wouldn't have dared to breathe so loudly in this hall. But I had been in seclusion for 6 years, and the world had grown bold. The Jiang family members were shaking with fury. Shouts of protest erupted throughout the hall. The great elder clenched his fists so hard his knuckles turned white. I could feel his despair through the walls. He was only at the 7th layer of the Xiantian realm. Against the peak-level Tang Xingyang and his thugs, he felt helpless. Patriarch, I could almost hear him thinking, if only you were here. To keep his people safe, the great elder forced himself to stay calm one last time. What do you actually want, Tang Xingyang? Isn't it obvious? Tang Xingyang laughed. I'm here to wipe the Jiang family off the map. Wudon City is too small for 4 families. Someone has to go. It's your turn to die? The great elder staggered back as if he'd been struck. It was the worst-case scenario. He looked at his terrified kin and tried to find one last card to play. Don't forget, the great elder shouted. Our young genius, Jiang Chun, is a student at the Thousand Mountain sect. If you destroy us, you're spitting in the face of the sect. Can the Tang family handle their wrath? Tang Xingyang paused, then burst into a fit of hysterical laughter. Jiang Chun, if he were still an inner disciple, I might give the sect some face. But you really don't know, do you? The great elder's heart sank. Know what? Your genius was ambushed by the Luofeng sect during a mission. His dantian was shattered. He's a useless cripple now. The Thousand Mountain sect kicked him out days ago. He's nothing. The hall fell into a deathly silence. The hope that had sustained the clan for years vanished in an instant. If Jiang Chun was gone, who was left to protect them? In the corner of the hall, the 3 Wang brothers, mercenaries hired as protectors by the Jiang family, exchanged nervous glances. They were here for resources and status, not to die for a sinking ship. With me missing and Jiang Chun crippled, the choice was easy for men like them. They stepped forward, walking away from the Jiang family and straight toward Tang Xingyang. Wang De, the eldest, bowed low. Patriarch Tang, we have long admired your name. We've wanted to join the Tang family for a long time, but never had the chance. If you'll have us, we'd like to leave the darkness and follow your light. The Jiang elders were stunned. Wangda, we never mistreated you. How can you stab us in the back the moment things get difficult? The brothers kept their heads down, but they didn't move back. They knew the Jiang family was finished. Why die with losers when they could feast with the winners? Tang Xingyang threw his head back and laughed. A wise bird chooses the best tree to nest in. Fine, join us. You'll get the same resources as my other protectors, far more than this pathetic family could ever give you. Thank you, Patriarch. The three brothers knelt immediately, eager to prove their loyalty. To show our sincerity, Wangda added, we should tell you, none of us have seen Jiang Daoxian in 6 years. He's likely dead in that cave. Traitors! Cowards! The Jiang elders screamed. Tang Xingyang nodded, a predatory smile spreading across his face. The last bit of uncertainty was gone. He knew exactly what he had to do. Even though I already knew Tang Xingyang was a snake, hearing the mercenaries confirm my death changed the energy in the courtyard. Tang Xingyang's gaze turned sharp and predatory. He looked at my family like they were meat on a chopping block. Suddenly, the air grew freezing. It felt like the temperature dropped 10 degrees in a heartbeat. The Jiang family trembled. Just as Tang Xingyang was about to make his move, a voice rang out. It was calm, smooth as jade, and echoed from the entrance. Destroying my Jiang family? With trash like you, you're not worthy. Everyone froze. They turned their heads toward the source of the voice. I stood there at the gate, my body tall and imposing. My hair was loose, falling over my shoulders, and my white robes were stained with dried blood. I looked like a ghost returned from the grave, but my eyes were sharp as stars. The Jiang elders gasped. Their pupils shrunk in disbelief. They recognized me instantly. I was the man they had prayed for every single day. It's the Patriarch. Jiang Daoxian is out. I saw him 6 years ago. It's really him. Patriarch, you have to help us. The Tang family is trying to wipe us out. They've gone too far. The despair that had crushed my family moments ago vanished. It was replaced by a surge of hope. Many of the younger disciples had grown up on stories of my power. 6 years ago, I was the undisputed master of Wudon City, the man who made every other expert lower their heads. It was because of me that the Jiang family stood equal to the other 3 great clans. The Tang family members weren't cheering. They were paralyzed. Jiang Daoxian? How is he still alive? He's been in seclusion for 6 years. We thought he was dead. What do we do? Even our ancestor is afraid of this man. Can we handle him? Fear spread through their ranks like a virus. They started backing away. They hadn't even fought yet, but they were already defeated. I wasn't just a man to them. I was an immovable mountain. They weren't wondering if they could destroy the Jiang family anymore. They were wondering if they'd live to see tomorrow. The 3 Wang brothers, the mercenaries who had just betrayed us, looked like they'd seen a demon. Their faces turned gray. They had gambled everything on my death, and now I was standing right in front of them. Regret hit them like a physical blow. If they had known I was alive, they never would have switched sides. Now, they were trapped between 2 fires. Tang Xingyang looked like he'd seen a ghost. His eyes were wide, bulging out of his head. Even though he had reached the peak of the Xiantian realm, he was shaking. My presence alone was suffocating him. I looked at the great elder. His lips trembled, but no words came out. He looked like he was afraid to blink, terrified that I was just a hallucination. Don't worry, I said softly. My voice was like a warm spring breeze, washing away their fear. Rest now. Leave the rest to me. Then, I turned my gaze to Tang Xingyang. Our eyes met. He flinched. Cold sweat poured down his forehead. He tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. He swallowed hard, his survival instinct finally screaming at him to run. Jiang. Patriarch Jiang, this is all a misunderstanding, he stammered. Let me explain. He didn't care about his grand plan anymore. He just wanted to live. Explain? I asked coldly. I didn't give him a second chance. I raised my hand. A burst of raw energy exploded from my palm. It was so fast the eye couldn't follow. It tore through Tang Xingyang's body instantly. A loud bang echoed, and he vanished into a mist of blood. Blood rained down, staining the walls and forming a dark pool on the ground. The Tang family disciples screamed, their faces pale as death. Their leader, a peak Xiantian expert, had been swatted like a fly. Even my own family was stunned. They looked at me like I was a monster. Tang Xingyang was powerful, yet I had killed him with a casual flick of my wrist. A realization hit them all at once. I must have broken through to the Purple Mansion realm. The thought made them tremble with excitement. I pulled my hand back, my face expressionless. Your death is the only explanation I need. The courtyard went silent. No one dared to even breathe. I let my cold gaze drift over the terrified Tang disciples until it landed on the three Wang brothers. How long have you three worked for my family? I asked. 10 years, Patriarch. Wang De stammered, his head bobbing like a toy. He was terrified of answering too slowly. 10 years, I repeated. That's a long time. Even a dog would have developed feelings after 10 years. But some people are worse than beasts. Wouldn't you agree? They dropped to their knees, unable to look me in the eye. Patriarch, we were wrong. Wang De cried, slamming his head against the ground. We picked the wrong side. We'll never do it again. Please. Again. I narrowed my eyes. To admit a mistake, there must be a punishment. 10 years ago, you were nothing. You were being hunted by enemies and came to the Jiang family for protection. We took you in. We solved your problems. We gave you resources to reach the Xiantian realm. And this is how you repay us. My voice grew sharp, dripping with killing intent. Wang Er and Wang San turned white, their legs turning to jelly. We were foolish. Please, for the sake of our years of service, have mercy. Mercy. I felt a cold smile touch my lips. You should have died 10 years ago. Today, I'm just taking back what the Jiang family gave you. Their pupils shrank. They didn't even have time to move. A cold wind swept past them, and all three coughed up a fountain of blood. They collapsed instantly, their life force extinguished before they even hit the dirt. I flicked my sleeves and withdrew my palm. The three traitors lay dead at my feet. I turned my gaze toward the remaining members of the Tang family. They were frozen, their faces pale with terror. They had just watched me execute my own family's retainers without a hint of hesitation. They knew they were next. Jiang Daoxian, one of them shouted, his voice trembling as he tried to find some courage. Are you truly going to tear all face with the Tang family? Don't forget, our ancestor is still alive. Do you really want to start an all-out war between our clans? I didn't even bother to answer him. Instead, I raised my hand and signaled to the Jiang disciples standing behind me. Jiang family, hear my command, I said, my voice cold and steady. Anyone who dares to trespass on our grounds shall not be left alive. Kill them all. Yes, Patriarch. The Jiang disciples erupted. Their shouts shook the air as they charged forward, fueled by years of suppressed rage. With me leading the charge, the slaughter was absolute. Without Tang Xingyang to lead them, the Tang disciples were like wheat before a scythe. Cries for mercy and desperate curses filled the courtyard, but they didn't last long. Soon, the noise died down. The Jiang estate was a graveyard, the ground littered with the bodies of our enemies. My disciples stood among the corpses, gasping for air, exhausted from the brutal fight. But despite their fatigue, their faces were glowing with pride and joy. I stood in the center of the carnage. Around me, the bodies were piled thick. Every single one of my targets had died from a single, lethal wound. A mechanical chime rang in my head. Ding. Crisis averted. Fate has been changed. The family has survived. Family luck plus 300. Family luck? I frowned slightly. I didn't know exactly what that did yet, but I didn't have time to dwell on it. I shook my head and started walking toward my people. Suddenly, the system chimed again. Ding. Green grade family member detected. Host can initiate an investment. Investment. 1 consolidating essence pill. Reward. 1 bottle of marrow cleansing pills. My eyes lit up. I remembered the marrow cleansing pill from my memories. It was an earth grade peak level medicine. It could strip away impurities, boost cultivation speed by 30%, and even repair internal injuries or damaged foundations for anyone below the Yuan High realm. In a place like Wudon City, such a treasure was legendary. I had only ever heard stories about it. Now, I could get a whole bottle. I followed the system's guidance and walked straight to the Great Elder. Patriarch, he whispered. He tried to bow, his body shaking from his injuries. Forget the formalities, I said, reaching out to catch his arms and steady him. You've worked hard these years. Thank you. Looking at him up close, I felt a pang of guilt. My memories told me that while I was in seclusion, the Great Elder had carried the entire weight of the Jiang family on his back. Without him, the family would have been wiped out long ago. The Great Elder looked up at me. We were standing so close that he could see the changes in my appearance. My skin was clearer, my features more refined, and my aura felt ethereal. He swallowed hard, his eyes wide with a sudden realization. Patriarch, did you reach the Violet Palace realm? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. The entire courtyard went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Every disciple strained their ears, staring at me with burning intensity. I gave a casual nod. I was lucky. I've broken through to the early stage of the Violet Palace. To prove it, I let a tiny sliver of my aura leak out. It was heavy, suffocating, and ancient. It filled every corner of the space for just a second before I pulled it back. The silence broke like a boiling pot. The courtyard exploded into cheers. The Patriarch reached the Violet Palace. We have a Violet Palace expert. Let's see who dares to look down on the Jiang family now. The ancestors are watching over us. Our second Violet Palace master in hundreds of years. They were ecstatic. In Wudon City, a Violet Palace master was a god among men. Even in the powerful Qianshan sect, someone of that level would be an honored elder. If I joined the government, I could rule an entire city. Even the Great Elder, usually so calm, was trembling. The tide has turned, he muttered. The luck of the Jiang family has finally returned. I remained calm amidst the celebration. I reached into my robe and pulled out a dark, round pill. I handed it to the Great Elder. Your foundation has become unstable from years of overwork, I said. Take this consolidating essence pill. The Great Elder's eyes nearly popped out. This was a peak yellow-grade pill, incredibly expensive. It could stabilize a crumbling cultivation base and speed up healing. I had spent a fortune to buy one for myself before I went into seclusion years ago. Thank you, Patriarch. Thank you for your grace. He took the pill with trembling hands and swallowed it immediately. Almost instantly, the deathly paleness left his face, replaced by a healthy flush. Ding! Investment successful. Reward: 1 bottle of marrow-cleansing pills. Items have been placed in the system storage. Perfect. I looked at the Great Elder as he recovered. Tell me, I said, how long was I in seclusion? And what exactly has happened to the family while I was gone? I had sensed the crisis with my new powers, but I didn't know the full story. The Great Elder's expression turned somber as he began to recount the years of suffering. Patriarch, you were gone for over 6 years, he began. When the news of your seclusion spread, people started rumors that you had failed and died. The Tang family grew bold. They started seizing our lands and picking fights just to see if you would show up. He sighed, the weight of the years visible in his eyes. When you didn't appear, they stopped holding back. They teamed up with the Sun and Gao families to steal our mines and disrupt our businesses. We lost almost all our market share. But the worst happened 2 years ago. We had a massive clash with the Tangs. Your cousin, Jiang Dowling, was killed by them. The Great Elder paused, his eyes flickering with a bit of hope. After Dowling died, his son, Jiang Chun, showed incredible talent. We sold off several shops and used 30% of the family's assets to buy resources for him. We used our connections and resources to get Jiang Chun into the Qianshan sect as an inner disciple. With the sect's protection, the Tang, Sun, and Gao families finally backed off. But recently, rumors started spreading. They said Jiang Chun was attacked by the Luo Feng sect during a mission, his dantian was shattered, and he was kicked out of the Qianshan sect. That's why Tang Xingyang dared to lead his men here today to wipe us out. As I listened to the Great Elder, my expression turned strange. The greed of the other families didn't surprise me, but Jiang Chen's story felt eerily familiar. A family genius joins a great sect, gets ambushed by enemies, has his cultivation base destroyed, and gets discarded like trash? I shook my head, trying to dismiss the thought. Surely that kind of legendary protagonist luck wouldn't fall on my Jiang family. Those stories usually belong to people named Yi, Lin, or Xiao. I pushed those thoughts aside to focus on the present. I had already killed the Tang family strike force. We had crossed the point of no return. Instead of waiting for them to strike again, I decided to take the fight to them. I couldn't sleep soundly while a threat lived next door. I needed to pull the Tang family up by the roots. I wouldn't leave a single survivor, not even the ants in their courtyard. Just as I made my decision, a notification chimed in my head. Family crisis triggered. How can you allow others to trample on your name? Family mission: annihilate the Tang family and intimidate the local factions. Reward: based on performance. A perfect score grants a mysterious reward. I smiled inwardly. The system and I were finally on the same page. The Tang family was dead. They just didn't know it yet. I looked up at my clansmen. My voice thundered through the courtyard, shaking the air. The Tang family has been ruthless. How can we endure this? This blood debt must be paid in full. Are you willing to follow your patriarch to the Tang gates and take back our justice? The crowd froze for a second. Then, a roar of excitement erupted. They pumped their fists into the air, shouting "kill," over and over until the ground trembled. One young man stepped forward, tears in his eyes. He told me his brother and uncle died at the hands of the Tangs. He wanted revenge. They all did. They knew I had reached the Purple Mansion realm, while the Tang ancestor was old and decaying. They weren't afraid anymore. I nodded, satisfied with their fire. Move out. I turned and led the way toward the main gates, a long line of warriors following behind me like a dragon. But just as I stepped onto the street, I froze. My heart skipped a beat. Ding. Golden Grade clansman discovered. Host can initiate an investment. Golden Grade? I was stunned. Even the Great Elder, a powerful cultivator, was only rated green. Who could possibly be a golden talent? I scanned the street according to the system's guidance. About 100 meters away, I saw him. A boy in tattered gray clothes was stumbling toward us. He was painfully thin, his hair was a mess, and his face was deathly pale. He looked like he could collapse at any second. I didn't recognize him, but as my clansmen caught sight of him, gasps filled the air. Jiang Chun. It's Jiang Chun. He's actually back. But look at him. He's a wreck. So the rumors were true. The Qianshan sect really threw him out? He's just a boy. The disciples grew furious. The distance from the sect to our city was massive. Had he walked the entire way back on foot? My heart softened. In the Jiang family, we protected our own. I blurred into motion and appeared beside him instantly. Jiang Chen's eyes were blurry, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He was operating on pure instinct. As he tripped and began to fall backward, I caught his arm. A gentle breeze followed my movement. He struggled to open his eyes. When he saw my face, a spark of recognition lit up his dull eyes. Patriarch, he choked out. He had seen me a few times when he was a child. To him, I was a legend, an idol. But he thought I was dead. He thought he was hallucinating. I gripped his hands, letting my warmth flow into him. You're home now, I said softly. The boy broke. The genius who had lost everything, the wanderer who had been humiliated and broken, finally let his walls down. He started to sob. I patted his back, acting as the elder he needed. While I comforted him, I activated my Chaos Dao eyes to see the truth. Name: Jiang Chun. Cultivation: half-wasted. Talent: peerless. Aura: golden. Fate: reincarnation of an ancient emperor. Currently undergoing a transformation after being struck by heavenly flame while wandering. Transformation completes in 1 day. I stared at the text in my mind. My suspicions were right. I hadn't just found a genius. I had found a living legend. This kid was a true child of destiny. His dantian was shattered. He was the reincarnation of an ancient emperor, and he'd been struck by heavenly flames. He had every buff imaginable stacked on him. Suddenly, a notification pinged in my mind. Current goal: investment can trigger a golden grade reward. Invest 1 marrow cleansing pill, receive 10 bottles of Vajra pills. Invest mystery grade martial art. Thunder Palm, receive earth grade martial art. Purple Thunder Palm. Invest mystery grade cultivation method. Breath concealment, receive earth grade cultivation method. Pure Yang technique. I looked at the massive rewards waiting for me and took a deep breath. With a flick of my wrist, I pulled a marrow cleansing pill from my system storage, hiding the movement beneath my sleeve. It will help with your injuries. I didn't explain how valuable it was. Jiang Chun didn't hesitate for a second. He took the pill and swallowed it immediately. As soon as it hit his stomach, the medicinal power exploded. Pure energy flowed through his limbs and bones. Right before our eyes, his pale, sickly face regained its color. His shattered dantian wasn't fixed yet, but his internal injuries healed instantly. He looked refreshed, glowing with a strength that made him look like a normal person again. Jiang Chen felt the change. His eyes lit up with joy. He quickly straightened his tattered robes and bowed deeply to me. "Thank you, Patriarch, for this gift." He had no idea what that pill cost, but he knew he'd never heard of anything working this fast. Even in the Qianshan sect, a medicine that could heal internal trauma in seconds was unheard of. He knew it had to be priceless. A wave of warmth filled his heart. He was a waste now. His seniors at the sect had told him he was useless. He felt lucky enough that his family hadn't kicked him out. Yet here I was, using a legendary pill just to fix his bruises. I looked at his moved expression and let my voice turn cold and heavy. The Qianshan sect treats geniuses like servants. They are blind. One day, I will personally go to that sect and demand justice for you. The Jiang disciples standing around us gasped. The Qianshan sect was a terrifying power. Their sect leader was a famous Yuanhai realm cultivator whose name made entire cities tremble. They had elders in the Zifu realm. Even the city lord didn't dare provoke them. Yet, I was promising to kick down their front door for the sake of one broken boy. The shock in the crowd quickly turned into fiery excitement. If I was willing to go to war for a useless Jiang Chen, it meant I would do the same for any of them. They stood taller, pride swelling in their chests. They had a patriarch who protected his own, no matter the cost. Jiang Chen was stunned. His eyes turned red, tears blurring his vision. He couldn't believe I'd risk my life against a giant like the Qianshan sect for someone like him. "Patriarch," he stammered, his voice trembling. "Please, forget about justice. The Qianshan sect is too strong, and I'm just a cripple now. It's not worth the risk. If something happened to you because of me, I could never live with myself." "A cripple?" I let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "Who told you a broken dantian makes you a cripple?" Jiang Chen froze. "A shattered dantian isn't necessarily the end," I continued, my voice ringing out so every disciple could hear. "It can be a new beginning. We call it breaking to rebuild. As long as the fire in your heart doesn't go out, luck will return. I have a word for you, and for every member of the Jiang family." Every disciple leaned in, hanging on my every word. "The only thing that can truly defeat you isn't the mockery or gossip of outsiders," I said firmly. "It is your own self-doubt. A great mind stays apart from the crowd. A great soul needs no country. Why fear loneliness? Why fear slander? Do you understand?" A wave of heat rushed through the crowd. Their blood was boiling. Jiang Chen stood there like a statue, whispering my words back to himself. "A new beginning. Breaking to rebuild. The only thing that defeats me is my own doubt." His dull eyes began to glow. It wasn't just a spark anymore. It was a roaring fire. He clenched his fists, his heart thumping against his ribs. He wasn't dead yet. Why was he giving up? "Patriarch," he said, his voice finally steady. "I understand." I smiled. He really was a child of destiny. A little push was all he needed to find his path again. Ding. Child of destiny Jiang Chen has regained his fighting spirit. Family luck plus 100. I didn't expect a bonus, but I'll take it. I reached into my robes and pulled out 2 manuals. "Take these. The Thunder Palm and the Breath Concealment Manual. Others might think you're a waste who can't get back up, but I don't. I'm waiting for you to become a man who protects this family, just like your father did." Jiang Chen's breath hitched. He recognized those names. These were the legendary techniques passed down by our Zifu realm ancestor hundreds of years ago. They were the crown jewels of our clan, usually reserved only for the patriarch and elders. In the Qianshan sect, he only had access to basic yellow-grade techniques. Mystery-grade manuals like these were reserved for the elite inner circle or true disciples. His hands shook as he took the books. "Thank you, Patriarch. I won't let you down. I will fight for my life." I nodded slowly as the system messages flooded my mind. Ding. Investment successful. Host receives 10 bottles of Earth-grade Vajra pills. These pills greatly temper the physical body. Ding. Investment successful. Host receives Earth-grade Purple Thunder Palm. The system rewards kept flooding my mind. I had successfully invested in Jiang Chen, and the returns were staggering. Ding. Investment successful. Host receives Earth-grade Weapon, Purple Thunder Palm. Investment successful. Host receives Earth-grade Cultivation Technique, Pure Yang Art. I felt a surge of excitement. These were top-tier Earth-grade rewards. To avoid any unexpected disasters during our upcoming attack on the Tang family, I didn't hesitate. I immediately accessed the system warehouse and transferred the knowledge of both techniques directly into my brain. In just a few breaths, I mastered the purple thunder palm to the level of perfection. If I used it now, I could condense highly penetrative purple lightning into my palm. A single strike would be enough to turn an ordinary Zifu realm expert into a cloud of bloody mist. As for the pure yang art, it began transforming the energy within my body. My original power shifted, becoming incredibly masculine and fierce. It was the ultimate nemesis of all things evil. Even though my cultivation level didn't jump, the quality of this pure yang energy was several times stronger than before. If I faced an enemy of the same rank, a casual strike would shatter their defenses instantly. I felt the majestic power flowing through my veins. I could easily crush 10 versions of my former self. I took a deep breath, calmed my racing heart, and turned toward the members of the Jiang family gathered at the door. I had broken the rules to teach Jiang Chen the clan's secret techniques. To prevent jealousy or unnecessary friction among the younger generation, I decided to be fair. "Listen up," I announced, my voice echoing. "After this battle, every member of the Jiang family, regardless of whether you are from the main line or a branch, will be allowed to practice the Thunder Palm and the Breath Concealment Manual." I didn't need those mystery-grade techniques anymore now that I had Earth-grade powers. It was better to let the clan use them. However, I wasn't a fool. I wouldn't leak my new Earth-grade arts to the masses yet. Those were treasures that even Star Wheel Realm experts would kill for. Giving them out now would be like a child carrying a gold bar through a crowded market. It would only bring destruction to the family. The crowd went silent for a second before erupting into a deafening roar. "Thank you, Patriarch. Long live the Patriarch." The disciples who were feeling a bit bitter about Jiang Chen's luck immediately felt their hearts clear. 2 mystery-grade manuals for everyone? There was nothing left to be jealous of. Jiang Chen watched the cheering crowd, looking confused. He leaned in and whispered, "Patriarch, what is all this?" "We are going to wipe out the Tang family," I said casually. I spoke as if I were mentioning a routine chore. Jiang Chen's eyes widened. He couldn't stay calm. As a Jiang, he knew the Tangs were dangerous. They had a Zifu realm ancestor and the 4 tigers. The eldest, Tang Jingyang, was at the peak of the 9th level of the Xiantian realm. The others were all powerful masters. To him, the Jiang family was walking into a suicide mission. He opened his mouth to warn me, but then he stopped. He looked at the faces of the clansmen around him. Every single one of them radiated absolute confidence. There wasn't a hint of fear. He realized then that something fundamental had changed while he was away. "You have no cultivation right now," I told him. "Coming with us to the Tang estate is too dangerous. Go back inside and wait for our return." Even though he was a child of destiny, I didn't want to risk him in a chaotic brawl just yet. It was better for him to stay at the base. "Yes, Patriarch," Jiang Chen replied. He didn't argue. He knew that in his current state, he would only be a burden. People would have to waste energy protecting him. For a man who used to be a genius, that thought stung. As he walked past the crowd to enter the manor, a young disciple his age grabbed his shoulder. "Don't worry, Jiang Chen. Just wait for the good news. The Patriarch has broken through to the Zifu realm. The Tang family doesn't stand a chance." Jiang Chen froze. His lips trembled. Zifu realm? Now he understood where that mountain of confidence came from. The Tang ancestor was old and decaying. He was no match for a prime Zifu master. He watched our retreating backs and clenched his teeth. He made a silent vow. This would be the first and last time he sat out a battle for the family's survival. He hated this feeling of powerlessness. He hurried inside, desperate to start practicing the manuals I gave him. He was looking for his own miracle. Meanwhile, at the Tang family estate, the atmosphere was completely different. Inside a lavish pavilion by a pond, the air was filled with music and the scent of wine. 3 men sat around a table, watching dancers and laughing. "Haha, if I've timed it right, Big Brother should be finishing off the Jiang family by now," one of them said, taking a sip of wine. "The Jiangs are done for," another added. "Have you guys thought about how to split their lands and mines? I already told Big Brother I want the Phone Lai building. You guys can pick the rest." Second brother, You're so impatient. The youngest, Tang Laosi, laughed. Is that courtesan really so great that you'd give up all the other assets just for a brothel? Tang Laoer had a dazed, infatuated smile. You don't understand. Her love for me is real. She's different from other women. She doesn't care about my money. She just wants to grow old with me. The other two brothers shook their heads. Only their idiot brother would believe a woman who sold her company for a living. But they didn't correct him. If he didn't want the actual wealth and resources, that just meant more for them. Tang Laosan and Tang Laosi shared a look and laughed. They liked the idea of their brother taking the useless assets while they kept the real gold. They toasted to their future, and before long, 6 cups of wine were gone. Tang Laoer felt the cups were too small to satisfy his thirst. He grabbed the entire wine jar and began guzzling it down like a madman. Suddenly, the sound of frantic footsteps shattered the peaceful atmosphere. Tang Laoer frowned. He smashed the empty clay jar onto the floor and wiped his mouth. His brothers stopped talking and turned toward the noise. A family servant in gray robes came sprinting toward the pavilion. He was in such a panic that his feet tangled, and he slammed face first onto the ground right in front of them. Tang Laoer's face darkened with disgust. What is this panic? He bellowed, his voice booming like thunder. Have you no dignity? The servant trembled, nearly jumping out of his skin. Tang Laosan's eyes flickered with suspicion. He stood up and walked over to the man. Speak up. What happened to make you lose your mind like this? The servant gasped for air, his eyes wide with terror. It's the Jiang family. A huge group of them just burst in. They're killing everyone they see. So many of our brothers are already dead. The news hit like a bolt of lightning. The smiles vanished instantly. Tang Laoer roared in fury and slammed his palm down on the table. The heavyweight snapped in half with a deafening crack. Bold. That pathetic Jiang family dares to come here and spill blood. Tang Laosan didn't move. He looked thoughtful, his mind racing. This is strange. Big Brother already headed to the Jiang estate. By all logic, they should be extinct by now. How could they possibly be here? Maybe Big Brother missed them? Tang Laosi suggested. Maybe they fled before he arrived and ended up here. No, that doesn't make sense either, Tang Laosan muttered. If they were running for their lives, they would have fled the city. Why would they come here to commit suicide? Our ancestor is still here. The two of them were trapped in a maze of confusion. But Tang Laoer didn't care about logic. He stood up and grabbed his massive saber leaning against the railing. His large, calloused hand gripped the hilt tight. He swung the blade a few times, cutting the air with a sharp, whistling sound. Who cares why they're here? Tang Laoer spat. Since they've come to my house to die, I'll make sure their blood paints the floors. He turned to leave, but Tang Laosan grabbed his sleeve. Wait, second brother. He ignored his brother's glare and looked at the servant. Something is wrong. To be safe, go to the ancestral hall immediately. Tell the ancestor what is happening. Yes, third master. The servant scrambled up and ran toward the back of the estate as fast as his legs could carry him. Only then did Tang Laosan let go of his brother's sleeve. Fine. Let's go see what kind of courage the Jiang family has found to dare invade us. Tang Laoer snorted, gripped his saber, and marched toward the front courtyard. His brothers followed close behind. As they drew closer, the sound of clashing steel and screams filled the air. A few more steps, and the metallic stench of blood hit them like a physical wall. It was thick and suffocating. They rounded the corner and stopped. The sight was a nightmare. Members of the Tang family lay scattered across the ground in heaps. Blood was everywhere, soaking into the grass and staining the trees. The fight was still raging. Tang Laoer watched as a Jiang family disciple plunged a sword through one of his clansmen. The last of his restraint snapped. Veins bulged on his forehead, and his eyes turned bloodshot, like a wild beast pushed into a corner. I will kill every last one of you, he screamed. He charged into the fray, his heavy saber raised high. He reached the nearest Jiang disciple in a single stride. He gripped his weapon with both hands and swung it downward with enough force to split a man in two. The young Jiang disciple froze, his legs turning to jelly as the massive blade descended toward his head.